Someone just sent me this photo and look at it. We got a live one here, folks. Someone managed to capture an ET landing on camera. This photo is said to be taken between the 1940s to 1950s. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Photoshop. That is how we brought Area 51 to life last week. But this image is legit. I mean, do I believe that this is a real alien craft? Not really. But I will say that this is a real photo that has never been doctored. And before you come in the comments saying that this was taken with a potato, yeah, that's right. The image was originally captured on film, which would make sense considering the quality of the photo. Back in the 40s and 50s, everyone had a film camera. Whether it was a Polaroid camera or a Kodak Brownie box camera, they were super cheap and very common. So this photo was taken by an unknown person, who was likely standing somewhere around the desert waiting for something to happen. At least that's what I think happened, because if they were flying around in this thing, I don't think they would have been able to hover over the same spot for very long. So my guess is that they were parked somewhere nearby, and maybe someone saw them land or take off. This was before the days of cell phones, so if you wanted to show your friends what you saw, you had to bring home the film, drop it off at the drugstore, pick up the prints, and then hand those out to your friends. By the time all of that was said and done, this image could have been traded hands hundreds of times. It's almost like showing your friends a Snapchat, but I digress. Let's talk about this craft, because if we're being honest, this looks like it belongs in a comic book from the 40s or 50s. In fact, let me know down below in the comments if you think this was actually witnessed during the era that it's supposed to have been witnessed. Either way, whoever took this picture snapped it from far enough away that it appears small, like it's some kind of plane. But that doesn't really make any sense because there are no wings. Planes also didn't really look like that back then either. So is this a UFO? I'm not sure. I don't think aliens were visiting our world back then, but who knows? Maybe they were. What's interesting about this image is that it seems to have been forgotten about until recently. I mean, just imagine being the guy who took this photo and you've never even mentioned it to anyone. You kept it hidden for decades until one day you decided to upload it to Reddit or send it to someone who then sends it to me, and then I share it with you guys. Anyways, let's break down this photo because there's a lot going on here. First off, you can see two figures walking next to each other. They appear to be wearing some type of uniform. Is this a military uniform? Maybe. What's interesting about these uniforms, though, is that they kind of look like flight suits. They have the same type of collar that flight suits have. And if you look closely, it looks like the one on the right is wearing some type of goggles. So perhaps these men work with aircraft, but why? Why would they be outside taking pictures? Well, this is a bit of a stretch. But maybe they were Air Force personnel who worked at one of the many secret bases in the desert that were used to study alien crafts. After all, this is America. We did recover a bunch of UFOs during the Cold War. It would only make sense that we would try to reverse engineer them to figure out how they worked. But why are they standing next to each other? Shouldn't they be running or getting out of the way if they thought this thing was going to crash? Well, maybe it wasn't going to crash. Maybe they knew that this thing was supposed to land right here. Or maybe they weren't worried about it crashing because they thought that it was friendly. Hey, I know this sounds crazy, but during the Cold War, it was actually believed by some that a UFO was going to come down and save us from nuclear war. And while that didn't happen, maybe these men thought that it might. Also, they may have been expecting this thing to land, because they received prior intelligence that this was going to happen. As I said before, these photos are decades old. So if the government was hiding things from us back then, chances are that these photos might have been buried in a vault somewhere waiting to be leaked. Another thing to consider is that the man on the left seems to be pointing his camera directly at the sky. If you look closely at the lens of the camera, you can see that he's taking a picture of the object. But what about the man on the right? He's looking to the side and he's not paying attention. Why is he even in this picture? Did he want to be in the picture? Or was he dragged along by his partner who wanted to capture this moment? Maybe, but I can't help but wonder, why would you need to drag someone along to take a picture of a UFO? Are you going to try to convince them that it's real after you show them the photo? I don't know. Let me know what you think about this image. Do you believe that this is real? And if it is, what do you think is going on here? These are questions that I don't have answers to. And honestly, I think that the best approach to this type of stuff is to not try to find an answer. Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. And I'm willing to bet that whatever the truth is behind this image, it's more interesting than anything that we could come up with. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen our recent video on Area 51, now's the perfect time to go check that out. We made it look like the aliens landed in Vegas. It was pretty cool. Go check that out. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. And remember, we don't follow each other on social media. But if you want to follow me personally, I'm at Derek John Ross on Instagram. I post pretty much daily. So if you want to be a part of it, go ahead and follow me there.